Good evening, pilots and mercs. Today we are going to be going over Good evening, pilots and mercs. Today we're going to be going over a video by Mechanical Frog, Battletech, Why Do We Love the PPC? I can tell you why we love PPCs, but that's going to be for the video. So grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and let's roll the film. Battletech, Why Do We Love the PPC? Let's get it.
Ever since Prometheus gave fire to humanity, people have been seeking bigger and better ways to burn each other.
This is crazy looking at the... This is crazy seeing like the tabletop kind of version of MechWarrior. Because I'm used to like the first person MechWarrior games, like actually controlling the mech. This is more like the tabletop version.
Sure, this stick is fun, but have you ever hit someone with a torch? Arrows are neat, but what if you dip the arrowhead in bitumen and set it aflame? And then fire it at your nearest person who looks at you funny?
Lovett says, Griffin, 1 November, Princess. I'm sorry, that to me is funny because I consider the Griffin platform to be the most passenger princess of most of the mechs. At least medium mechs, anyways. Because, like, this Panther here is in a weight class below it, but yet it still has the same amount, or technically better firepower than your Griffin over here. At least for, again, for the MechWarrior games. I'm not necessarily talking about Battletech.
It's a long and flammable tradition which carries forward all the way to the 31st and 32nd centuries with the particle projection cannon. Sure, lasers are fun, but have you tried shooting a man-made lightning bolt at your target? The particle projection cannon was an advancement in weapons technology closely tied to the development of the battle mech. In fact, their first true battle mech, the Mackie, was armed with one. Although the make and model has been lost in the sands of time, the PPC and the battle mechs that carry them have stayed together ever since. Many of the iconic mechs of the Succession Wars, like the Warhammer, Marauder, and Battlemaster, carried the noble PPC into battle.
I love how he says all that and then just proceeds to put up a picture of what I can assume is the awesome. Actually, no, that might actually be the... Again, the older designs kind of throw me off, and I know a lot of people were correcting me in the comments, which I appreciate. Please continue doing that, because again, some of the classic models will absolutely throw me off, but you have a Battle Fist, you have 3 PPCs here. I'm gonna say it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It's probably an awesome.
Through countless conflicts, revolutions, police actions, and minor kerfuffles, history has been written in Azure PPC fire.
I love how he says minor kerfuffles. One does not simply have a minor kerfuffle when it comes to these houses. It's usually more like, oops, I accidentally, did I accidentally send that Arrow 4 over into your territory? That sucks. But hey, another planet for me.
But what is a PPC? According to official sources for such things, a particle projector cannon, or PPC, is an energy weapon that fires a concentrated stream of protons or ions at a target. This results in a transfer of energy with both the transfer of tremendous amounts of heat as well as impacting with a significant amount of kinetic energy. In terms of a small child can understand, it's a lightning gun. During the Succession Wars, with the degradation of technology that would come from hundreds of years of conflict, the PPC held its status as a powerful long-distance weapon that could bore through all but the thickest of armor. Star League-era designs like the Panther 9R continued to be constructed and used.
You know, the funny thing is, it's like, oh, it can't get through the heaviest of armor. Have you tried taking a second shot at it? Because I don't think it's going to survive the second shot.
extensively
Just saying.
by the Draconis Combine throughout the succession.
You've had first shot, now
The
it's time for
Capellans
second
took the
shot.
Vindicator, which used a series arms smasher's PPC as its primary weapon. The mech became a go-to design, though what mechs the Capellans did produce, they guarded jealously. The rest of the Inner Sphere states saw value in the Griffin, 55-ton mech armed with a Fusagun particle projector cannon and an LRM-10. Even though it's a rather...
You know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say. How... It's not even the fact that... Okay. The reason I mostly say this... Again, I will elaborate on why I don't like the Griffin. A lot of people pointed out that the LRM-10 technology towards the clan era was a lot better. But until then, you're dealing with an LRM system, which means you have two options. Long range, short range. So effectively, at least again, for the Mech Warrior games, you have a particle cannon. Because most of the time, they're going to close that distance before that LRM's effective. Again, maybe I need more time with the LRMs, but that's not going to do much. And this armor doesn't help either. The fact that for a medium mech, unless it's a hero mech, you're not really going to have all that much armor.
Design, even by standards of the Succession Wars, it could be found serving in militaries across the galaxy. Before the Succession Wars, with Kerensky's exodus from the Inner Sphere, they took a lot of SLDF battlemechs with them. This included many of the remaining Galahads, a 50-ton mech originally intended to replace the Rifleman. It was armed with 2 Magna Hellstar PPCs and 2 large lasers. Even with 13...
You see, this is the type of mech that I would absolutely love to have. This makes sense. Long-range firepower, laser that can be used at any range. This makes more sense to me.
Double heat sinks. This would be a very toasty mech if heat isn't managed effectively.
Yes.
Of all the
Yes, it is.
War era mechs that carry PPCs, there are few as iconic as the Warhammer, Awesome, and the Marauder. Each of these mechs carries at least 2 PPCs and have enough heat sinks to manage. They are pretty consistent firing. When I asked on Twitter what mech they thought of with the PPC, many...
So, that's kind of funny. I think of this mech. These two... When I think of the Marauder, I think of the cannon on the top. This one, I kind of just think it's all around reliable, but its weapons vary. It's not an Omni mech by any means, but it's still a very versatile platform.
Highlighted one of these 3 classic designs. It made me want to try to sort out how to emulate the original MechWarrior game after all this was posted. During the days of the SLDF, PPC hits had the tendency to cause electrical issues in both the target and the firing mech. These issues were handled through the addition of dampers, which insulated electrical systems. For the firing mech, field emitters were developed to limit the power of the PPC at under 90 meters in order to prevent feedback from destroying the weapon and to damaging the mech. However, there are many stories of bold or foolhardy mech warriors disengaging their inhibitors in order to surprise a target with close-range fire, or to just squeeze out one more shot that could be the difference between life and death. The extended range PPC...
And we love those type of pilots because they're willing to take a risk. They're willing to roll those dice to see exactly what RNGesus has in store for them. And let me tell you, I've seen that go both ways. And no matter what, you're going to have a fantastic time. Either you're going to go out in a blaze of glory, or they're going to go out in a blaze of glory. Always a fun time.
PPC for short was developed in 2751 to greatly increase the range of the weapon. at the cost of significantly more heat production. However, this technology was developed late in the history of the Star League, and it would end up being lost over the course of the Succession Wars. It was simply too new and not included in many mech designs before things fell apart. One of the Star League era mechs that did have an ERPPC was the SPT-N2 Spartan, which was equipped with a Terran.
I've never heard of this mech.
Kingslaughter H-class ERPPC. It was designed and produced in the years leading up to the Ameris coup. The 80-ton mech had all the bells and whistles, including an XL engine, double heat sinks, and the previously mentioned ERPPC.
That sounds amazing. Like, to be fair, as soon as you take off that PPC, though, in this particular case, the entire mech goes up. Unless it's a glam version of the XL engine, but I think at that point you're already in a bad shape anyways.
It was cutting edge at the time it was produced, though unfortunately its production line was destroyed during the Ameris coup. And as a result of the Succession Wars, the Spartan has become one of the most rarely seen mechs in the galaxy. As a testament to the success of the PPC, there were many attempts to improve on the original design over the centuries. Reductions in weight and size often came at the price of lower damage output and decreased range. Eventually, the PPC capacitor was developed and mass-produced in 3081, which improved on the damage
Unless you're
output
me,
by
and then
5,
I
but
figure
with
out
a
ways
significant
around
boost in
that,
weight
but
for the firing mech. The Draconis
still.
Combine would spend a considerable amount of effort creating several new designs of PPC that would show up in the late 3060s. One of their breakthrough advances was known as the Heavy PPC. Introduced in 3067, the Heavy PPC was able to match the damage heat production of the Clan ERPPC, which we'll get to in a bit. However, this came at a steep cost of a much heavier and bulkier weapon. Its range also couldn't quite meet the Clan ERPPCs. Even with its disadvantages, the Heavy PPC would be incorporated into many upgrades and some new battlemech designs during the Dark Age era. On the other side of the coin, the Combine also introduced the Light PPC, which weighs only 3 tons, does half as much damage as a standard PPC, but otherwise shares the range characteristics of the original. If it wasn't for that range advantage, the Light PPC would not be able to compete with the standard Innersphere medium laser. The third notable advance in Innersphere PPC technology is the snub-nosed PPC. It was the result of efforts to eliminate the danger of using a particle projection cannon in close range with the field inhibitors turned off. What engineers ended up with is a PPC that did perform well at those closer ranges, but suffered at longer distances.
So basically, it's a shotgun PPC. It's a shotgun in lightning form. That's rather terrifying. I need to get my hands on this thing and immediately test it out. Unfortunately, you've now inspired a whole bunch of builds based off the snub-nosed PPC. I hope you're happy with your decisions today.
Standard PPC and takes up 1 less critical slot, which is all great. The energy of the weapon
We could always use another slot.
resulting in less damage for short, medium, and long ranges, 10, 8, and 5 respectively. Now I've seen the snub-nosed PPC described as a PPC shotgun, but I haven't been able to find any conclusive authority on it. Even though the HBS Battletech game mod I use does treat it much like an Energy LBX autocannon with a scatter shot, I don't think it should be considered official, as there is no source book that I can find that suggests this uses a cluster table for hits.
Officially, I don't think that would exist. But its ranges kind of lead it to me. Again, not officially, but like unofficially, it's a shotgun. Like, if you're within 300 meters and that's your optimal range, I think you can call it a shotgun. But
where I think this came from is Sarna, which references the snub-nosed PPC as what a sawed-off shotgun is to a shotgun. But that doesn't necessarily imply a shotgun effect so much as just removing that minimum range limitation. It's a neat idea, though. The clans continued to appreciate the power of the PPC and refined their ERPPCs to be more compact and weigh less. With the invasion of the Inner Sphere, ERPPCs were key to the loadouts of many mechs like the Warhawk, Hellbringer, Timberwolf Config A, and the Direwolf Config B. being able to shoot farther than the standard PPCs most Innersphere mechs were carrying in 3049, hitting harder and taking up less space in the mech was a nearly insurmountable battlefield advantage. There are many tales of Innersphere mech warriors being hit with a single ERPPC and losing their footing, and nearly a ton of armor evaporates or melts into slag. Though a lot of effort has gone into trying to replicate clan technology, the engineers and scientists of the Innersphere have been unable to fully match the clan version of the ERPPC. By the 3100s, mechs like the Black Knight 5H are really just equipped with the clan version of the weapon. It's undeniable.
I mean, if you can salvage that thing and then just keep it going, that's the way to do it.
Tech IP, there are a few
I don't blame
weapons
'em.
more iconic and well-remembered than the PPC. From tales of tabletop conquest or tragedy to video games which each had their own unique take on the weapon, fans of Battletech have always had a story to tell. If you have a PPC story, I'd love to hear it in the comments below. If you haven't already, check out the LV10X video linked on the screen right now. So thanks again for watching. I'm really enjoying making these videos. I like digging through all of the source books and materials and piecing these.
This was a great video, by the way. I know I didn't mention it too much because I don't necessarily have experience with this tabletop setup, but this looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, different take on Battletech or like Mech Warrior in general. Like, this looks like a lot of fun. I'll have to see if I can dig up a copy of this. Because, like, I've never actually played the tabletop version of Mech Warrior, but this looks like it's close, or like, at least close, or at least a interesting take on it. Yeah, I absolutely love the PPC. I remember, if anybody's been around for a long time on the channel, you'll know I've had so many times jumped into the sim pod and then just gone to the Daiichi and the Annihilator to try to see how many PPCs I could put on the mech before, well, the entire thing goes critical and proceeds to wipe out the entire desert. It just turns it into a nice glass pancake. I think my record was 5 for the Daiichi because at least it has double heat sinks. But again, you're putting 5 on there, and you are loading that thing up with double heat sinks. But anyways, the link will be in the description to this particular video. I definitely think you should go check him out and see what other sorts of videos he has. I think we'll be reacting to more. I want to see more of this gameplay and see how it goes. But oh, there's a little bit more. Hold on.
Nearly insurmountable battlefield advantage. There are many tales.
Oh wait, no, I backed up to try to look at that, but anyways, this has been callsign Annika, signing out.